Good afternoon, 6-4 Owl parents here. Mr. Hagedorn with our weekly updates. First thing, no school on Monday. It's Labor Day. All right, so we'll see everybody on Tuesday. On Thursday, interims went home. They were on a yellow piece of paper that looked like this. So look for this kind of gold yellow piece of paper in your kid's book bag. We want those returned signed, please, just so we know you saw them. There's some very important information at the bottom about power schools. If you do not have access to power schools, it'd be great to make sure you get that. There's some information on how to do that on the interim. All right, as far as math next week, in Math 6+, we just started talking about percentages this week. We're going to continue to talk about percentages next week. We're going to have our study guide on Thursday and our quiz on Friday about percentages. In Math 6, we just started our Unit 3. In Math 6 this week, we started some measurement conversion yesterday and today. Next week, we're going to do a lot more work with unit rates and using those unit rates to help us solve some problems. All right, so that'll be math next week. Have a good weekend.
Hey there, hope everybody had a good week. So we just took our end of Unit 1 assessment today on Percy Jackson, which focused heavily on Chapter 8. If your child was not here or did not complete the assessment, they are going to need to come see me during our flight school period, which is first period next week. We're going to begin Unit 2, which is really, we talk a lot about theme. We're going to really dig into some of the Greek myths that are mentioned in Percy Jackson. And I also just want to emphasize that it's very important that your child either reads or listens to the chapters that we're doing each day. They're available on Canvas. Otherwise, they're going to have a hard time understanding what's going on in class. Have a great weekend.
All right, 6-4, if you haven't heard, we have no school on Monday, so if you send your kids, they're going to be here lonely. We just finished up Matter 1 today. We finished up with the final model build where kids had to build molecules with toothpicks and marshmallows, and they actually had to find a piece of matter that they enjoyed and build that. There's some questions that went around that. That closed Matter 1. So Matter is 3 different standards. Matter 1's about 3 weeks. We just got done with that. Matter 2 is what we're going to start next week. It's a very short one in comparison to the other sets of matter. This one's all about how heat affects matter, and it addresses the different states of matter and what the particles look like in those different states. Students should have some familiarity with this. They've learned it in 2nd and also in 4th or 5th grade, so this is not something that should be new to them. So we won't spend that much class period time. I think it's 5 days total, which means 4 days next week and 1 day the following week. And then we're going to roll into Matter 3. So next week we're going to be focusing on food color, water, ice, all the things, hot, cold with atoms. And we're going to see how different things react to it to see how the particles and the atoms are moving in there. Have a wonderful long weekend. It's supposed to cool down, maybe get wet. My grass needs it.
All right, friends, we'll end with social studies class. So a little bit about social studies. Number 1, as you can see kind of on this screen over here, we just finished our unit called Thinking Like a Historian, which is our early kind of introductory unit. And we did an end of unit check, and I assigned it on Tuesday of this week. It's due today. Now, most of the students have finished it, but you might want to ask your student at home if they have finished it. It will lock sometime next week, so it's not a locked assignment yet, but you do want to get that thing finished. I don't want to see zeros in it if a student just doesn't do that assignment. They had class time to do it. I've been reminding them to do it, but that might help if you also say, hey, show me that you've turned this in on Canvas. Show me that green check mark that says submitted would be helpful. Now, we have started geography, our unit on what does the Earth look like, and we're working on landforms right now, so we're talking about what different landforms are: peninsulas, islands, mountains, wetlands, that kind of thing. We're also talking about advantages and disadvantages for the early humans living in and around those areas. We're going to continue that into next week. We're going to talk about geographic modifications, how people kind of change the Earth so that they can live in those areas a little easier. And then we're going to bring out clay, and we've got some clay that we're going to be using. We're going to be creating our own physical features. We're going to create our own little worlds with the different landforms and different waterways and some of the geographic modifications. Clay Nation comes next week. So that's what we're working on. We will be working on geography for the rest of this quarter, and that means a couple more weeks. If you have any questions, any concerns, any problems, please let us know. If not, have a lovely weekend.